Do you ever long for clear thinking but find it impossible among the constant noise? You feel swamped and bombarded and overloaded with information. But what if you could truly see your ideas and thoughts with perfect clarity? To deeply contemplate the concepts that matter to you. There I was, standing under two massive trees when I heard a rustling of leaves, and I looked up to see a hurried squirrel crawling along the branches. I was curious now. What was he going to do? Is it a he? I don't know. But my eyes followed him as he took off from the last branch of the first tree, and boom! He jumped about 2 feet in the air to the branch of the second tree. Wow. Brave dude. But the more that I thought about it, I realized that this is a squirrel's playground. He can explore multiple trees without having to come back to the ground. And it's not so different with our notes. Linking them allows us to hop from one note to the next to explore the land of ideas seamlessly. Connect enough ideas and you create a thought forest. This thought forest idea came from an experience where I was in a place that stimulated my mind, allowing me to wonder, ponder, reflect, and gain clarity on an idea that I cared about. It was a thinking pod. A pod in the botany world is a part of a plant that contains seeds. And when I started looking into this, I thought, well, thinking pods are places or people that contain seeds of ideas, right? They are places where your noticing senses are heightened. People that when you interact with them, open your eyes to different perspectives, a higher way of thinking. They are places of stillness. Ideas in the thinking pod are more you-ish, right? They are fresh and they get you excited. The thinking pod is the place where change is happening, and that change is deep and wide thinking. Deep because your brain can actually focus, and wide because ideas can come from anywhere. The thinking pod. But in order for us to access the ideas, we need to be in the pod, right? A seed, much like clarity, cannot be expected to grow and mature unless it is placed in the right conditions, just as clarity cannot be expected in a container of chaos. I want to pause just for a moment here and give you a free gift for hanging out with me today. This is a short PDF guide on how to get insights from the nonfiction books that you read and that you love into your PKM system. By the end of this guide, you'll have a simple system for highlighting your books, a mindful approach for adding content to your PKM system or PKM Notes app, a process for creating building blocks of knowledge for the future, and then a simple tip for making more connections between your notes. The link to the free guide is in the description below. I learned recently that plant pods have photosynthetic capacity. And it got me thinking, we can learn from photosynthesis what we need for an effective thinking pod. Let's break it down for a second. And we have this image over here that kind of illustrates the ingredients for photosynthesis, okay? We have the leaves, we have the sunlight, we have the carbon dioxide and the water as well. On the right-hand side, this is what actually is produced, okay? But I want to talk about the left-hand side for a little bit. First, I want to start with the leaves, right? So the leaves, these are just like the plant's kitchen. They catch the sunlight and use it to make food. And when I started thinking about that, I thought, while in the thinking pod, you need a frictionless way to catch the ideas. You need a leaf that can do its job of catching the sunlight. Now, for me, it's pretty simple. I need offline capabilities because because one of my thinking pods is sort of in a place where there's not good reception. So I need offline capabilities. And then I also just need a daily note. Two things that I need to easily catch ideas, to easily write things down. All right. Now, let's move back over here. Now we have the sunlight. The sunlight is feeding into this leaf, not feeding in, but it's shining on the leaf. Now let's see what happens. The plant needs the sunlight to get the energy. The thinking pod should provide you with energy. What do I mean by that? I mean, you should feel strengthened by the place or the person. We've all been in that conversation where afterwards we feel like we just got a boost of energy from being around that person because there was ideas that were discussed, and the way that they think, the way that they communicate, the way that they bounce off of your ideas, it provides this boost of energy. You feel like you want to do it again, right? And then there are the places where you are strengthened as well. You don't really want to leave these places. Okay, let's keep going. We have the carbon dioxide. The plants take the carbon dioxide in through the tiny holes in their leaves, and this CO2, all right, it helps the process run efficiently. It enhances photosynthesis. Now, what makes a thinking pod experience effective is often the ideas we have already consumed. Our ideas will only be as good as the source they come from. So before you go to the thinking pod, fill up on good ideas. I did want to note that a thinking pod can both help you reflect on existing thoughts and ideas, but also produce new ones. Okay? And then we have the water. The water that is feeding the roots. So the plant gets its water from the ground through the roots. Now, thinking pods, they require stillness. Stillness is crucial to deep thought as water is to plants. As of right now, my thinking pods are the shower. I've talked about this in another video. But the key here is stillness. Just like still water, when you've paused for a moment, you can see and think more clearly. Right? The other one that's big for me is walking outside in nature. Not just walking on a treadmill inside my house. Walking outside in nature, preferably on a trail near a park where there's lots of trees. I see ideas all the time in nature. Right? There's something about hearing the leaves dance in the wind or the sound of a babbling creek. It just cracks open the door to the ideas, and then I'm curious and I can see the light peek through, and I'm ready to walk through that door and discover what idea is inside of that room. All right? And then I have a few friends who think differently than me that I love discussing ideas with. These three right here are my thinking pods. Now, I hope you found this video helpful. We've gone over quite a bit here on thinking pods, and I'd love to hear from you. What are the places that you would consider a thinking pod? Thanks so much for taking your time to watch this video, and I will see you next time.